Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Hello, everyone. Tonight I got kind of a special topic to get started on, and it's Agenda 21. We're going to kind of fill in some of the information. It's important, and it's why I've decided to come back and start doing this show. A while back, I did a different show, and it was for a topic that I enjoy, a sport that I enjoy, but I got away from it, started doing, I work for a living like most of us, taking care of a family, and decided I was going to do some internet stuff. And I've been kind of successful, but not where I want. But as of lately, especially being an election year, I've been drawn back to something that's very important. And I really didn't understand how important this was till Al, who's on the call tonight, who's over the last few years since I've met him, he has kind of introduced me to some of these topics. Never pushed me too hard, but always let me know that this information was out there because he has gotten to know me well enough. I don't know if he had it planned for me to get back into this, or whether he just kept reminding me about these little things, figuring I would do whatever I would do whenever I got around to it. Well, now's the time. So, Al, you know something? I don't know whether to be mad at you or thank you for getting me back over here.
Well, I told you, the more you find out, the more it'll scare you. So.
Yeah, it is kind of scary. And, maybe just talking about this will get me on a list I'm not going to want to be on, but you know something? This country and my freedoms are more important. Right. And it took me a while to sit back and make that decision, too, because it can get you in trouble. But what can you say? There's millions of people who have given their lives for what they've believed in. And I don't know what the number is for the people of the United States, how many young men and women have died for our freedom. And maybe getting myself in a little trouble on a bad list with the government, that's with Obama. I don't really give a shit what he thinks about me or his people. He needs to go back to where he came from, Hawaii, wherever, I don't care. He just needs to go away. Even though he is a puppet of this whole thing, he's still part of the problem, and he's a big driving force in this problem. So, anyway, I'm back to doing this show, and I still get nervous. It used to be I couldn't even get up in front of 5 people that I knew hardly and talk. And when I started doing the other show, I had to get over that stuff. But I still get a little nervous every time I get on here. Now, I had to turn the fan on because I'm sitting here sweating, being a little nervous. But as I go, I kind of relax a little bit. So the topic is Agenda 21. And the reason I decided to go to Agenda 21 because it's really all the things that I've been worried about, all the reasons behind some of the things that have been going on that I've been worried about. Socialism, liberalism, same thing pretty much these days. You find a Democrat politician, he calls himself a Democrat, they're liberal. If not, they're not far behind it. There's definitely no such thing as a conservative Democrat. And in general speaking, I'm speaking of politicians. Because I think I still find a lot of people that describe themselves as Democrat, but I just don't think they understand that the Democrat Party is no longer the Democrat Party of our fathers. It's just at lower levels, it's people that have either were raised that way, don't look over, see how things have changed, don't pay attention, or possibly just too lazy. They want somebody to take care of them. They just do what they're told. They don't question. It's things like that let Stalin, Hitler get their things, and they're using some of the same tactics that these groups used. And Agenda 21 is part of that. They get people to start counting on the government, and then they get dependent on it. So of course they vote for it. And in a way, I think it's kind of normal. We have to fight against those tendencies because the normal. You hear it throughout history. You got to, even now when we talk about, this show is called Preppers, Politics and Preppers. And we're talking about being prepared not only for the things we talk about and how to fight them, but we talk about how to, if something does go bad, whether hurricane, tornado, earthquake, whatever it might be, how to be prepared for those things and try to take care of your family through that. But even then, you in these situations, you talk about saving energy. And when you go out and work, you want to try to do it as efficiently as possible to save energy. That was part of survival from many years back, from just the beginning of time. But people, I think, have a little bit of a lazy tendency, but if you want to eat, you better get off your butt. Well, if the government gives you your food, pays for your house, and helps you in all the other ways, well, you don't have to do anything. And so socialism doesn't work. It's been proven time and time again throughout history. But yet they want to do it. And whether you call it liberalism, communism, socialism, whatever, it's all the same crap. People that think they are better than we are, that regular people out on the streets are too stupid to take care of ourselves, and that they're so important, and they're so smart, and they're so enlightened, that only they can do it. So then they go back and they start going, well, all these things like communism and socialism, they're great ideas. Well, they're not great ideas. They just think they're so smart that they can do it. They're not that smart. They're not that important, and we got to stop them.
Right. Yep.
Sorry, I got kind of carried away over at the chat room. There was a message on there, but it was not intended for this. But anyway, one of the guys said, "Hi guys, Ripweed 2420. Hello." Anyway, so Agenda 21. Now they want to take over. They want us to be their slaves, their dependents. We have to depend on them for everything. They want to put us where we can't destroy the earth. That's part of their reasoning, that we're humans and we are destroying the earth. A lot of them worship earth. They use the things to, we're trying to save the earth. And you're a terrible person if you don't want to do that. And that's part of the reason behind it. But to me, that's part of what they use to get people behind them. We got to save this area. We got to save that area. Global warming, all this BS. We're just humans. We're not destroying the earth. Now, yes, we have to be careful about how we handle things. And maybe at times things didn't go well, but we're starting to learn, and we have learned, and we have been changing things. But they use that kind of stuff to get people behind them. But
right.
They're talking about killing 25 million people just here in the States so Mother Earth can sustain us. That's ridiculous. Now,
it's actually more than that.
But I'm just, this is I got his name here someplace. Eric Holder. Right? Now, if I remember right, that's the name that goes behind Obama, who paid for his school. Is it Eric Holder or one of the other guys?
Yeah, it was.
I think Eric Holder. No, Bill Ayers. Bill Ayers is the one that paid for Obama's school, his education.
Bill Ayers.
And if I understand my information, if it's correct, paid for his first house. Well, we know who Bill Ayers is, and I'm going to let you step in for a minute because I don't want to ignore you, Al. I want you to step in on that if you can.
Well, Bill Ayers was, one of the radicals in the '60s that was involved in bombing police stations, and they were going to. Their goal was to take over the country and basically turn it into a socialist country. And they were the ones that were saying that they would take about the deaths of about 25 million people. They wanted to set up re-education camps in the Southwest, and they wanted to divide the country up into different sections, and they wanted to have the Chinese control one area, the Russians control another area. They were even talking about the Viet Cong controlling parts of the United States. But they were saying in these re-education camps that they estimated 25 million plus people would not be re-educated into their way of thinking, and it would require their elimination, as they called it. But
yeah, and he even stated that elimination means death.
Right. But on this Agenda 21, there's really 7 areas that covers. It's biodiversity, fair trade, economy, health and disability, waterways, transportation and air quality, and waste management. And they've got their hooks into, they're going to control all those areas under Agenda 21. And that's been going on since late 80s, around 87, where the world, the Bilderberg people, that really control everything, they got their hooks in there. They got their hooks in all the banking systems and the Federal Reserve here. They got together in '87 in Norway and put all this plan together, and it's all part of their master plan that leads us to a one single world government, where you won't own anything. You're just basically a ward of the state. And they've been implementing it slowly but surely for the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, let me step in there for a minute when they're talking about the re-education and stuff. And it not only means camps, re-education camps. Remember that term from the Soviet Union?
Yep.
That not only means that, in which there's some evidence and a lot of talk about some of these re-education camps already being there. But something I wanted to touch on real quick. They're talking about re-educating the family. They're trying to get your kids to be more dependent on the state. Through school, look up to authority figures, and I think you can see some evidence there. School food, feeding all these kids, and a lot of these kids don't need to be fed by us, the taxpayer. Their parents can handle it. But it doesn't take much to get your kids on that stuff. And now I think it was Illinois has even gone so far. A while back we heard a story about where some inspector or something found that some kid didn't have the right meal, some little girl. Actually, the meal was a very healthy meal, but she didn't like it because it didn't have something in it or whatever. Well, it's gone further than that now. Illinois, if I remember right, is telling in either all over the state or in lots of the parts of the state, don't even send your kids food to school. We're not going to let them have it. They can only eat what we provide. I'm trying not to say too many cuss words. That's BS. We can't let that kind of BS get away. That's just part of it. Now go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to kind of get a few topics in as we go.
Well, yeah, I think that was in Michigan, and that's the way they do these things. They try this stuff in a small area to see how the public reacts to it, and then they gradually spread that out or expand it. But that's all part of the control. It's like the TSA. They started out with the TSA in airports, and now if you look around if you get on, you can find newspaper articles where they're out on public highways. They're trying the same thing there, and mainly in Tennessee, But I mean, if you remember here recently, they were down in Houston. They were riding on the buses down there. So you know, their goal is to gradually be in all public areas. You know, malls, shopping malls, and they're going to do their body searches there. And
Right.
you know, that's and that was their stated goal on C-SPAN back when they first implemented the TSA. So yeah, that's what they do. They start out small, and if the people don't resist them, they just gradually expand on them.
Right, and that's part of what I was looking into the last couple of days. You know, there is a lot encompassed by Agenda 21, so I don't have all the answers to everything, and this really makes this whole thing is a little unsettling, but it's hard to grasp the concept of all of it. And I can't sit here and prove all this to you, and I am not going to sit here on this show and try to prove all these little things to you. Go out, do your own research. Just go to YouTube if you want to start, just to kind of get a grasp of what's going on. There's some pretty good stuff there on Agenda 21. Then go out and do your own research. Read some of these articles. There's articles from the government that shows that this stuff is true, or at least seems to.
Sure.
There's court cases that it's admitted to. Some of the stuff that's going on. You know, there's documents. There's a 300-page document out now from the military about some of the training that's going on, in which they've been telling the troops that it has to do with terrorists and overseas. But then if you go further in the document and start reading further, it actually says that it's for the people of the United States. It's there in black and white. That's a long, you know, 300 words. Who wants to read through all that? But it's there.
Right.
All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, the real bizarre thing in all this, back in the 70s, when I would tell people that the Federal Reserve was a private corporation, people laughed at me. And, you know, they called it a conspiracy theory, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, just openly made fun of me. But now, probably 85-90% of the American people realize that the Federal Reserve is a private corporation. It always has been. But, you know, so as things, you know, progress along, you know, people are, you know, it was a conspiracy theory so long that when people finally realize that, hey, it is owned by it is a private corporation, you know, they got away with it, you know, you know, because everybody's already accepted it. It's been around so long, and everybody just has accepted it, you know. And now that, you know, you don't get laughed at anymore for saying it's a private corporation, except for a small percentage of the people that still don't know any better. But the majority of the people do. Most everybody that's, you know, corporately involved, you know, that's involved with banks and, you know, all your CPAs, and most all those people know that, you know. Not every one of them, but they can find out real quick. I mean, I had a friend of mine that was a CPA, and he was the he was the vice president of finance for a company. That's about 15 years ago. I told him that, and he thought I was joking, didn't believe it. He said, hey, I got an MBA and a CPA, and I've never heard this. And I said, well, just check it out. And he did. He called a banker friend of his, and the guy admitted to him that it was a private corporation. So, but you know, these conspiracy theories, you know, over the years, people keep hearing them, and they just keep, you know, just saying, well, it's a conspiracy theory. Then when it's finally proven to be true, you know, they get away with it at that point because you know, everybody's already accepted it.
Yeah. Rip Weed here, he's in the chat, and Rip, you know, I'm watching what you're saying. I'm not ignoring you, but we were kind of on the topic, and I get involved, and I don't always see what's going on in the chat room. But I know what you mean on the water well. He's saying he just found out that he can't put a water well on his property. You know, government says you don't have water rights. Luckily, when I moved in here, I lived in Texas, and we were having a lot of talk about water rights and stuff and mineral rights, and I made sure I had them here. And I already had a well, but luckily, they've already gone through court, and they've said, hey, you know, you You can't take water underneath people's property and say it's not theirs. It's theirs. You can go ahead and do what you need to do. But they're still kind of playing around with all that stuff. So we'll see where it goes. But so I'm not ignoring you, but that's one thing. They don't want you to have property rights anymore. That's one way to stop doing this. And they've even tried to get away with lots of stuff. Here in Texas, they were trying to steal land and condemn land so they could use it for their own purposes. And some areas they're taking land and saying, well, this is for the best for the community. We're going to take your property and we're going to let this company come in and build a shopping mall or a business because, that's ridiculous.
They did that right here by me.
Yeah.
They expanded the Northeast Mall, which is in Mid-Cities area here between Dallas and Fort Worth, and took a whole ton of land, just destroyed the homes, and then they turned it over to, they expanded a mall shopping, and that's all.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's it's a private business.
And we weren't talking. We're not talking about a blighted neighborhood. We're talking about a middle class neighborhood, nice homes, and they destroyed them all and put a mall on it. Now, 50 years ago, they could have never done that.
Right, because the companies that wanted that land, they could have said, look, let's go to everybody, try to give them money for their land. And if the people said no, well, then that's just tough. But the state, city, whatever, steps in and says, get out of here. You can't do that. That's BS. It's taking private property rights away. And if they can do that one place, they can do it another. They could come in and say, this ranch land here, we kind of like that. There's a big business that wants this, so get out. And then they name the price, whether it be fair or not. That you can't just. That's ridiculous. That's one thing that it's not only. Oh, by the way, I went out to get my new gun today. Hopefully they'll have the paperwork done. They had some delays, so tomorrow maybe I can pick it up. Anyway, private property rights. I got a 9mm. I've got some 45s, but I needed something smaller, and I'm gonna get a rifle that's like for a backpack.
So which nine did you get?
I got. Oh hell! You can go with names again. I'll think of it and I'll let you know. I can't think of it. My mind's working on other things here. But anyway, private property rights, the right to bear arms, those are essentials. They were put in the Constitution for a reason. And it's to keep the government away from doing things they shouldn't be doing. It's the freedom of speech. All of these things are not outdated. They are there for a reason. They're to protect us from the idiots in D.C., the idiots in Austin, wherever politicians are. That's what it's there for. Because they knew that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's what this crap is. If you just listen to this show, it's a new show. I'm just somebody out here that's concerned. I'm no big name. I'm not well known. I'm just a citizen that's worried. And I got to tell you, this worries me. It really, just to do this show, and step up to do something that makes me sit here and get nervous about before I do it. It's not an easy thing, but this stuff is important. And it's all planned. And it's not just Obama, and it's not just Pelosi, and it's not just Reid. They're just players in the game. And I'm sure they're going to have some, if it happens while they're still alive, they're going to get some big high placement, and they'll be important then too, and they'll have lots of power, and they'll be able to sit back and have their big cars and fancy planes and eat as much food as they want and do whatever they feel like doing and pretty much get away with whatever they want to get away with. If you've got some time, and I think everybody does, just think of if we're right, that this stuff is actually going on, then isn't it worth a few minutes a day or a few minutes a week to sit down at your computer Most people have one these days. Most people have internet access, whether it be on their smartphone, on their computer at home, whatever. Isn't it worth a few minutes to sit back and look this stuff up? And you decide. Is this guy on Politics and Preppers? By the way, the call ID is 120315, and we're at TalkShoe, talkshoe.com. And the name is Politics and Preppers. Anyway, isn't it worth just a few minutes a day or week to sit back and start checking this stuff out? You figure it out. Is it real? Is it not real? After all these people that have given their lives for our freedom, isn't it worth it? They've died for this country. They've died for our freedoms. They've died so we can say what we believe. They've died so we can protect ourselves. They've died so we can have our property and raise our families as we see fit. Is it not worth a few minutes? I think it is. Now, I should have started paying a little bit more attention a while back, but I'm here now. Not too late. And I don't think, at first when I started hearing Al talk about some of this stuff, I was going, well, God, if he's right, then I don't even need to go vote anymore because there ain't a chance in hell. But yet, I'm starting to see people waking up to some of this stuff. And military, a lot of the military are starting to talk up and say, look, yeah, that document that you're talking about, it states all this stuff, and the chips that they want to put in us, and the concentration camps, re-education camps, all that training and all those documents, they're real. I've seen them. We've had the training. It actually says this. And a lot of those guys in the military are starting to speak up, and a lot of them are getting in trouble, especially the ones that are still in. But even the ones that are out are finding, I've heard lots of reports, they're finding that they can't get a job because the government finds out that they're looking for a job here or there, and then whatever company it is starts getting on the computer and looking up their name, and the government sends them a little message, they don't hire them. They're blocked. They can't work. Don't do it. Or whatever, however they say it. And of course the company's going to go, oh, whether this guy's any good or not, I don't want to get in that mess. So they don't get a job. And they were even talking, I heard today, they're sitting here talking about a lot of guys coming back from the military, get back into civilian life, are getting in trouble, breaking the law, getting in trouble. And they're not telling us what those laws are. For all I know, it's jaywalking. But they're talking what we care about, these guys. So we're going to put them in a separate prison, specially designed for them, and acting like it's a great thing they're doing for these people. Sounds like a re-education camp to me. Sounds like they're going after these guys and trying to make us believe it's a great thing they're doing. It's just like, well, we can't let these people starve. We got to give them food. Well, we got to take care of them. We got to give them health care. We got to do all these things. Now, I know those mean old conservatives, mean old Republicans, you give something to somebody, it doesn't mean shit to them. You make them work for it, it means something to them. You just create dependence, which is what they want. We're not helping people by helping them if they don't need help. If they're capable of working, they need to get up off their butts, quit watching the TV, playing games on whatever, drinking, whatever it is they're doing, get out, and if they want to eat, they better get a job. Because when you get hungry enough, you're going to work if that's the only way you can get food. You're taking the pride from these people. They're hurting these people. And it doesn't matter what color, race, or religion they are. You're hurting people when you do that kind of stuff to them. Like, how many times have you heard this? You don't give a drunk a drink. Well, you don't give a lazy person food and a place to sit, his butt, pay for his cable TV, and let him sit there and watch TV all day either. Anyway, kind of getting ranting there. So, Al, do you have anything you want to add? Did I lose you, Al? Al, I lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, I got dropped out. So.
Okay, well, all right. you got anything else? Did you hear what I was talking about?
No, unfortunately, I was dialing back.
Okay. Well, I was just a little on a rant about, giving people food, a place to live, and you're just hurting them. But anyway, it's on the show. Go ahead and take a couple more minutes and add something there if you want to. Let me recollect my thoughts.
Well, I mean, the more you give to people, the less they appreciate it. And, it's like with the public housing. You give people a place to live, and they don't even take care of it, and it all gets ran down and destroyed. Basically.
Well, it destroys those people. It destroys their initiative. It destroys their pride. You're not helping them. You're hurting them.
Right.
There's so many different topics in Agenda 21 that it's really hard to pick out one, and I'm trying to pick out one for the next show, and I can't pick out one right away, so I'm going to have to think about it for a couple of days. But, they want to take people and put them in smaller areas. You won't be able to live in a lot of areas. It'll be just wildlife. Stack you on top of each other. Take your property rights away. And there's some people that say, that's great. We got to protect Mother Nature. But that's here in the United States, and the United States feeds the world. And we got here because we have the way of life that we have. We can do better. We can walk out there and we can make a life for ourselves. Even if you're not very educated, you can go out and you're not going to starve to death. You can go out and get a job and take care of things,
Right.
I think that's probably enough for this topic tonight. I just wanted to touch on some of these things, give some people some things to talk about, and let me step over here to the chat room for a minute. I was just looking to see what Rip, who's in the chat room, saying. I've got so many ideas in my head right now, trying to keep them all. Anyway, I think the show's enough for tonight. I wanted to touch on these topics, and Rip, thanks for stopping by. I hope you come back. I really didn't give you much time tonight, and I'm trying to keep these first few shows just to touch on some topics and everything. And I'll try to. One of the guys is not here tonight, and he's supposed to be taking care of the chat room. It's hard for me to keep my concentration on what I'm thinking and see what's going on in the chat room. Hopefully Mike will be back on the next show, because he'll watch that and he'll let me know what's going on, and then he'll either answer it or let me know that there's something there important to get into. But so tonight we just touched on this stuff. Next show we're going to find one or two of these, and we're going to go in depth on them. There's a lot here to learn about. Hopefully we gave you some information to get started looking into this. And hopefully we'll get some more people in here to join in. And we're not going to let people come into the show and just talk and get in and start talking to us. There's too many people out there. They're going to try to interrupt the show, try to cause problems. They do it all the time, all over the place. This is a no liberal zone. We don't have time for you. So if you are a liberal and you find this show, don't bother. I'm only letting people in here that I get to know enough that I know they're not going to be trying to interrupt things.
Yeah, Rick.
Plus, I'm having a... Yeah, go ahead.
Rick, we don't know if got a schedule. He's wanting to come back.
All right, I don't have a schedule, but if you'll, if you want... You can subscribe to the show, but I'm going to try to do it every Saturday night. But during the week, I may jump in when I get worked up and I want to do something. I'll just start a show, and so you never really know. Al, is there a way to, I know you can subscribe to the show and then it'll send you an email letting you know. But is there a way to tell your smartphone or something, or tell you on the screen of your computer that you just got an email that you were looking for, or an important email? Is there some kind of way to do something like that?
Well, when they, if they request to be notified of the show, they can put in their, their however their carrier sends them text messages to their phone. They can use it as an email type address, like your phone number or at AT&T.net if you're AT&T. So they can do it like that.
Yeah.
Just do the.
Well, I know if you just subscribe to this, it'll send you an email, and I usually leave my email open, and then I know when I get a new email in. We're also getting a bunch of noise coming through, so I think it's probably a good time. Rip, if you'll stay in the chat room, I'm going to end the show, and if you stay in the chat room, we'll see if we can get you figured out here. All right, so everyone, I hope you get a chance to come by once you see this. We haven't really put it out on our RSS feed to promote it yet, but we will be. All right, I'm going to mute you out because I think that's where it's coming from, but I'm not sure. All right, name of the show is Politics and Preppers. Go to TalkShoe.com. The show number is 120315. And I do have a website that I'm going to probably start putting this stuff up on, but I don't know if I'm going to start a new one or put it on one of my ones that I already got. I'm not going to even give you any of that right now, but I will in the future. And I may have on the first show. So next Saturday night, I'm going to try to do another one. We may do some during the week. It just depends on when I get everybody together because I really find it hard from the last podcast I did to watch the chat room, see what's going on, keep everything organized just for one person to do that, and it really drove me nuts, and that's one of the reasons I stopped doing it before. Hopefully I've got that stuff taken care of. So that's it for tonight. Hope you have a good night. Look at this stuff. Check it out. I think you'll find that I'm not wrong. So good night, everybody. See you next time.